Simone, I'm excited to be here with you today. Today, we are going to be discussing an idea that I had that was prompted by something Rubyard was saying on What If Alt Hist, which is that if you look at many of the odd behaviors that you see in cities today among humans, many of them look very similar to the types of behaviors that animals begin to make in captivity, specifically mammals in zoos. And a lot of people know the mouse Utopia experiment, right? And they tried to draw a line between the mouse Utopia experiment and the ills of modern society and TikTok and falling fertility rates. And it's like, that's all well and good. But the problem is that we have evidence, and you can find it online if you Google about this. Somebody did an extremely long blog post that the mouse Utopia experiment may have basically been faked. Like, we don't know for sure. It was of that period of experiments in like the 1950s when like nobody really cared if it was true or not. They just cared how spicy it was.
It wasn't like pre-validation. There wasn't, go for it. Sure.
Yeah, sure, whatever. You want to put this in your backyard? Yeah, it'll be full of dead mice soon. Sure, whatever. Yeah. Basically, what it appears they may have done is run a bunch of trials and then only reported the ones that got interesting results in a very uncontrolled format. But also that only really gives us like one experiment to look at. But if instead of correlating with mouse Utopia experiment, we correlate with well-known and well-documented behavior from zoos.
Ooh, and when there's a lot of zoos and there's a lot of zoo animals. Yeah.
And this could be upstream of everything to do with fertility collapse. Because as you know, one of the
like you know, when we used to start in the very beginning talking with media, you talked about people breeding like caged pandas.
Yeah, people know caged pandas are famously hard to breed. Pandas don't really breed in captivity, but lots of animals don't breed in captivity. There are many species of wild animals that will almost not breed in captivity, which is odd. You know, people can look at humans not breeding and they're like, it's really weird because like evolutionarily, we should be programmed to like want to do all of this
stuff.
And
especially like if you've got nothing but time, what are you going to do but bang each other? What's going on here?
Yeah. And literally, it is very similar to cities. They are in a confined area, but natural predators are removed, and they are given all the food that they could ever want.
Yeah.
And they are just tons of toys are thrown in with them, like with us, like being on our phone or something like that. Yeah. They're given all of the stimulation so that they can masturbate these traditional instincts. When I say masturbate an instinct, what I mean is masturbation as a concept is when you are using a stimuli that is not the stimuli that a pattern of arousal or pleasure evolved to be triggered by to trigger that. And so it could be, you know, your exploration stimuli from like a video game or something like that. That's a form of masturbation, right? Or as we've said before, you know, having pets instead of having kids is a form of masturbating specific child rearing instincts for some individuals. But anyway, so very, very, very similar circumstances. And I'm just going to dive into it because I thought it was really interesting. And he wasn't the first person to go into this. Somebody read a book on this subject. I think it's far back as the 1950s.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I did a little bit of searching around this topic, like wondering what I immediately wondered. And I actually have a theory as to why this is the case. Also, it sort of dovetails with what we said, so we can kind of share our notes and diagnoses.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Animals in zoos often exhibit zoochosis, repetitive, purposeless actions due to stress, lack of stimulation, and restricted space.
Oh.
Examples include big cats pacing for hours, elephants swaying or rocking their heads, zebras biting non-food objects repeatedly, and walruses regurgitating food.
Oh, they're going bulimic. This just sounds either like teenage girl stuff or autistic person stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, and what's also interesting about these behavior patterns is that they seem to be species specific. So what we see here is we can see like the zebras biting non-food objects, or walruses regurgitating food, or elephants swaying or rocking their heads, or big cats pacing. What this means is that we should expect humans to have a pattern of behavior like this. Actually, while I go further, can you see if humans exhibit any behaviors that are zoochosis-like when in extreme captivity, like jail cells or something?
Oh.
I think that'd be pretty interesting to see if we noted anything like that. Cities impose similar confinement through small apartments, etc., leading to repetitive stereotypes like compulsive phone scrolling, nail biting, skin picking, or substance abuse, binge drinking, and overeating. So you could see these behaviors, like these simple addictive behaviors, as being something that you see in jail cells and in sort of the captive environment. I'd also note here that there is a common misunderstanding of zoochosis, that people say that monkeys in the wild, like, I don't know, it became like a red pill talking point, don't masturbate. This is not true at all. Monkeys in the wild masturbate a lot. It's well recorded in wild monkeys. They may masturbate slightly less than captive monkeys, but I think that's more an issue of the amount of time that they have on their hands in terms of like status fights, getting food, everything like that. What'd you find, Simone?
It says, and I ask perplexity, humans do exhibit behaviors similar to zoochosis, abnormal, repetitive, and somewhat self-destructive behaviors found in captive animals when subjected to extreme confinement, such as in prisons or during prolonged hospitalization. Key parallels.
Like, what behaviors? What does human zoochosis look like?
Like pacing, rocking, self-harm as a result of stress.
Well, I mean, these are all things we see in city dwellers as well. So I guess this would make sense. That
compulsive, repetitive routines, self-injury or agitation as coping mechanisms.
Self-injury, the entire trans movement.
And then also a prolonged isolation in humans is strongly associated with depression, anxiety, panic attacks, mood swings, impulsivity, apathy, withdrawal, and even psychotic symptoms such as hallucinations and paranoia. Even cognitive impairments.
Is that not what we're seeing with Trump derangement syndrome, which is primarily coming from cities?
Kind of, yeah. Emotional distress and also
paranoia and hallucinations, and wild. And I'll note here, we've mentioned in other videos that this incredible low fertility rate and the behavioral issues you see associated with cities are not a new phenomenon. In fact, cities have been a fertility shredder for, well, as long as we have records of them. The fertility rate in cities has never been above repopulation rate, except for Jewish populations. That's the only population.
Yeah. So there's always just been this understanding that like the population comes from the rural areas and gets shredded and disappears in the urban areas.
Yeah, and our theory on that, which we've done videos on, is Jews should be thought of as like a human ethnic group that is such a city specialist, as we've noted, something like 98% of Jews live in an urban center, that is such an urban specialist and has been for so long that they've essentially evolved an adaptation to this environment that allows them to stay cognitively healthy and still breed while in urban environments. And I love it when people are like, oh, because I was talking with a reporter today and she goes, you can't possibly live in a city like Manhattan and have a bunch of kids. And I'm like, well, the Orthodox Jews living in Manhattan would have something to say about that, I think.
Yeah, they're doing all right. Yeah, they really are.
They're doing all right, yeah.
Yeah, but I think you also need, you basically can't do that if you also at the same time assimilate with mainstream culture in cities and use mainstream urban institutions like the Dillamotte family, which is I think 10 or 11 kids. They're the ones who are very musical and have kids in Juilliard. Just left New York City after losing all their money because they lived in a normal New York townhouse and they shopped at normal restaurants and went out to normal stores and kind of integrated. I mean, like, they still
I have no idea what they were thinking. They didn't have jobs from what I know. They sold a house somewhere else and then used
they busked for money. I think they kind of expected that, I mean, out of faith that God would provide, kind of. I also think that they expected to hit more pay dirt from their social media work than they expected. They did get, for example, like a TLC show, but it didn't get serialized. And I think they kind of hoped that it would and that maybe they'd get some money out of that. And also, I think they have social media, like they have a management company that they currently owe $14,000 to. So like, it seems that that's what they wanted to lean into and it just didn't work out.
That's a shame.
I
mean, I can
really
see making those. I mean, we don't have a job right now, subscribe on Patreon.
But no, like thanks to everyone who has supported us.
Yeah. I mean, if we keep going at this rate, we should be able to support ourselves on YouTube. I'd say within like a year and a half.
Yeah, people are pointing out though that we're like just asking to be demonetized. So who knows? I don't know.
How to train your wife. All right. So the next trait that you see within zoos is aggression and social strain.
Ooh, social strain. What does social strain look like in zoo animals?
So marine mammals, e.g. orcas, become hyper-aggressive towards each other or humans due to isolation from natural pods. Primates might withdraw or fight over resources. Bears or big cats show an increased head tossing or pacing when stressed and refined.
Head toss.
That's
Oh, sick burn. It's the head
exactly,
toss.
but we know they will bite your arm off.
Oh my God. I am never going to financially recover from this.
But anyway, but consider with cities, you get things like road rage.
And Karens. just Karens. One
social
word.
aggression, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The zoo animals of women. Karen.
Well, I mean, Karens don't make sense. It's women often sort of engaging in an abnormal sort of dominance display, like social dominance display is what it really is.
Yeah, when they are affluent, middle class, not threatened, and have no direct like tribal relation within a dominance hierarchy to the person they're Karening. You know, like I want to talk to your manager thing. This is not someone within your social network who's a direct threat to your position in a dominance hierarchy. So there's also not a lot of like normal evolutionary sense for you to mean girl them. Like it makes sense to mean girl someone in your church community or in your like bridge club community if it's the 1950s or something, but not a stranger at a store.
With tact. This is mean girling for no reason at all. Somebody who really can't fight back.
Yeah.
Interesting. Any of our fans are wondering, am I being a Karen sometimes? Just define it as, do you ever pull social rank on service staff? Like you should, there is no reason anyone should ever be pulling social rank on service staff. In the after of this episode, we're going to be talking about this.
But also it's also known for pulling rank on relative strangers. Like it could be someone in your like homeowners association and you're like, you can't put your trash cans there. That's Karening too.
Right. No, I understand that's Karening, but I think that most Karens who Karen like that are also going to do it in other situations.
Totally. Yeah.
Like, how do you know? And if you're like, well, I don't do it much, it's like, bro, literally never in my life have I felt the impulse to pull social rank on a service staff.
Yeah.
It has never even crossed my mind. With Simone, I've never seen her do it once. I've never seen anyone who I dated do it. If you do this...
And you've even had instances where certain people have put fake cockroaches in your food at restaurants and you don't even say anything to anyone. You just walk away. Yeah. Oh, we should get video footage of that.
Well, I think I handled it with a lot of manners and maturity, to be honest.
Yeah, you just get caught up and you're like, are you kidding me? You just walked away. This was in, by the way, the LA restaurant famous for being the place where Elle Woods was dumped in Legally Blonde. I don't know if you knew that, Malcolm. Yeah, that was that.
So I didn't make a fit or a scene. I just stood up and said, are you kidding me?
You walked away. And they were kidding you. You just had no idea for quite some time.
Anyway, health and reproductive declines.
That's the big one.
Often leads to obesity, reduced fertility, and shorter lifespans. Elephants with foot issues from hard surfaces and polar bears with typic swimming. Animals may overheat provided food without natural exercise or stress effects, which can affect breeding. This is really interesting to me because you do see this in humans as well. You do see higher rates of obesity now, definitely, as society has further urbanized. And you see higher, which is interesting because it means that our response to urbanization is not just predictable, it's natural.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting to me.
Oh, that's a good point. That is a good point. Yeah. Yeah. We're not, yeah. You'd see this in anyone. Huh. Okay.
Yeah. An interesting phenomenon here that they note is that some animals they lose their quote unquote wildness, which can in part be their ability to normalize to humans. They note here that like urban adjacent foxes can become very docile around humans and basically not afraid of humans and otherwise nice to humans. Whereas it's rarer for foxes to become tolerant of humans in captivity.
That's really interesting. Why would that be? Because it's like jailers versus somewhat symbiotic people who are like, "Ooh, fox, I'm going to give you food. Have my Doritos."
No, some foxes have been genetically conditioned to be like pets.
Yeah, I know there was that breeding experiment, but then they basically just turned into dogs with floppy ears, right?
Yeah.
But this is different.
Yeah, this appears different. So another behavior. Zoo animals frequently display stereotypic behaviors here that we've talked about this to an extent, like rocking, spinning, etc., that result in boredom. But this could be seen as analogous to ADHD and hyperactivity, which we see a rise of. As we've mentioned before in regards to ADHD, like, are humans really designed to sit at a desk for like 8 hours a day? Like,
Real.
no, we are not evolved to do that, right? And so a lot of populations are just going to go crazy when they do that, which means that you're going to see evolution happen further. I mean, you don't go crazy when doing that. You actually seem highly adapted to long-term, mostly stationary work. So long
but as long as you do that from a treadmill desk. I mean, I'm totally exhibiting the tiger pacing.
Not even. I actually argue that you're exhibiting a highly adaptive behavior. I suspect people who feel an impulse to only want to work alone at their computer while walking all day are going to have better health outcomes than the ones who only want to sit in front of a computer all day, or would see doing more than sitting at a computer as like an imposition.
Fair point. Yeah. And I mean, some of our Patreon subscribers have pointed out the need to evolve, either as a culture or whatever, adaptations that allow us to continue to survive, whether that's like having a walking desk or
we're helping evolve that. I'm making the next generation that combines your downsides with your strengths and my strengths and your strengths, hopefully. I mean, in our kids, very interestingly, is one thing I was really afraid of is to have kids that would exhibit both of our weaknesses.
Oh yeah. Hey, it'll still happen.
Well, the assorting hasn't happened that way so far. All the kids seem to have, well, I mean, you would argue that that's why to you it feels like they only take after me.
Yeah.
But personality-wise, they do seem to disproportionately take after me.
Yeah.
Except for one, our second oldest.
Are you kidding? He's all about breaking rules. I was never about breaking rules.
Torsten. Yeah, he's a little about breaking rules. Yeah.
He's the only one who doesn't know how to be a good boy. And he lets us know all the time.
I just don't know how to be a good boy. And I'm like, I think you do know how to be a good boy. I think that you have decided intentionally to not be a good boy.
He knows all about good boy things. We had a 30 freaking minute conversation about good boy things and bad boy things. He knows what's good. And weirdly included feeding cat food to cats under good boy things.
I really like that.
Which I kind of muddled though. I was like, I don't know, man. If it's like stray cats and it's causing a cat colony, like this may not be a good thing. And I shouldn't be getting.
Did you tell him that sometimes poisoning cats can be a good boy thing?
I mean, but I'm going to hell for this. Oh well, yeah. Anyway, love you. Let's keep going. Okay.
All right. Let you dig I wasn't going to talk there because I wanted you to dig further.
Go into how
your hatred of cats.
I love cat. I very much identify with cats. They're
all
great.
right. So you barely poisoned any cats.
Barely. I mean, I was the one who.
Wait, what are you going to say? Oh yes, you had when the family dog had to be killed or cat had to be killed.
Yeah.
You took.
I'm always one who's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. It's time.
You just took responsibility, Simone.
Well, and I mean the same way with humans. It's not like this is a cat thing.
Yeah, when you had to put humans to pasture, you did the same thing. When everyone was like, "Oh, this person's getting pretty old," Simone's just like
takes them out back.
It's like, I got it. Don't worry, you guys don't need to get your hands dirty. Just me, Simone, farmhand.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, she would be that way though.
I don't know what I would do with the body. My problem is bodies. I don't know what to do with bodies. They're messy. That's why I haven't killed any of our chickens yet.
Oh, true. Yeah.
To process them, like killing them's fine.
Is that why you haven't killed me yet, Simone? You don't want to deal with the body. I can see it in your eyes.
It does. It would be a unique nightmare to deal with a dead human body. No,
you're a devious wife. Our audience needs to know this.
A Walt, guys.
A Walt, right? You just get one. The secret to women is get one that is squeamish with dead bodies, so she doesn't kill you.
Yeah, that's what you should really be asking in these probing
That's the
dating
dream. That's the dream.
It's not like, what are your thoughts about divorce? It's more like, so what are your biggest fears around, needing to take someone out?
Do you think, probability-wise, before I keep going here, it's more likely that you kill me in a future timeline or that you divorce me in a future timeline?
Gosh, yeah. Again, though, I don't want to deal with the body, so it would have to be divorce. If like it was a video game where like you shoot someone and then they just like, break into sparkles, then definitely kill. You know what I mean?
Break into sparkles.
It's how we wish it went, if only. Yeah.
Lethargy and withdrawal. Animals exhibit decreased locomotion, huddling, self-clasping, or apathy, signs of depressive-like states, and a lack of control. Elephants and cetaceans show head bobbing or circling as coping mechanisms. These are related to neurotransmitter imbalances, and boredom in captivity causes depression-like symptoms, which we also see in humans. Humans who live in urban environments, depending on how urban the environment is, have much higher rates of depression. And within the urban cultural specialists, like the urban monoculture, you see very high rates of depression. You also see in captivity, another thing that we see in urban populations is self-harm. Pulling out fur, which, grinding teeth, very similar to human, cutting or unaliving attempts or other things that you see very commonly within human cultures.
Well, and especially isolated people who've been in prison or isolated through hospitalization for the thing I just looked up. Yeah. So very similar, very similar.
Another interesting one is abnormal status seeking or dominance displays.
Normal status seeking.
Yeah. Excess aggression towards subordinates or symbolic displays, birds puffing up feathers unnaturally, or primates hoarding resources. What's interesting from this is Karens. Karens are an unusual dominance display, as we were talking
100%. About. Yeah. Outside your domain, you're not benefiting.
Yeah. Another thing that you get is enclosures often cause understimulation, boredom, or overstimulation from crowd or noise, prompting inattentive but abnormal behaviors like object manipulation, e.g. raccoons creating games with trash, or overeating food, which leads to obesity, as we talked about as well. This could be seen as analogous to human thrill-seeking, like bungee jumping, excessive shopping, etc.
Wow, just to feel something. I never thought about it that way, but that's...
But you did all that stuff. You did jumping with parachutes.
Jumping, skydiving. Yeah, wow.
What a foolish thing to do. I cannot believe you did that while we were dating.
It's not like, aside from my parents, who was going to miss me,
I was dating you at the time.
Were you dating me when I went skydiving?
Yeah, you got it as a reward for our date. That was the reward from the competition that you did in your office to see who you could force to go dating.
But you were going to break up with me, so it didn't matter. It would just be a cool story, your ex-girlfriend who died in a tragic skydiving accident. It'd be great, It
is do you know how hard it would have been to replace you, Simone?
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, but we didn't know that at the time that you were going to choose me.
I had mostly figured it out at the time.
Well, I hadn't. I was so sure you were going to find someone at Stanford, so I did nothing wrong. I'm blameless here, okay? I was just doing the world a favor.
Another interesting one here is mal-imprinting, it's called.
It's just like where a duckling just starts following you instead.
So animals will form attachments to inappropriate objects or species, e.g. hand-reared birds bonding with humans instead of mates, which can lead to, or even inanimate objects on occasion. This could be seen as very akin to parasocial relationships, with humans overly bonding with people they see on YouTube or on TikTok, etc.
No. I am defending my parasocial relationships. They have everything I want in a friendship and more.
I think it's sort of given the direction we're going, but I was just giving an example here that a standard YouTuber would give. Okay, Simone?
Okay.
People come to us for both our slightly intellectual and brain dead takes. They just want to feel loved. That's what we're here for. You know, it's so funny. I was talking with Simone about this, but within our fan base, we seem uniquely conceptualized as a mom and dad like role for fans, is the way that we're often talked about when I see us talked about in like larger communities, which is weird. Where when you contrast somebody like Ben Shapiro, who's always thought of by most people as like a kid, like what do the young people think? I'll go to him. Ben Shapiro is older than us now, right? And I've always been told I look uniquely young for my age, so it is weird for me to be seen in this mom and dad role all the time. But I think it's because we got famous in relation to having kids, and so people are always contextualizing us within this context of
and together.
Yeah, I mean, we're always interacting as a husband and wife, and I guess when people see husband wife interact and tell me things, the evoked set is mom and dad.
I'll take it.
Well, yeah, no, and as we get older, actually it makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. There aren't, in terms of conservative influencers, any other ones I can think of that work as a married team. And so it's very hard. Like you can say, oh, Jordan Peterson's like my dad in sort of like, if I don't have like a stable mom and dad. But the problem is then who's your mom, right? Like, are you choosing a separate mom who has no relationship with Jordan Peterson? And
or like Jordan Peterson parasocial sons, just in single family households, intellectually speaking.
Yeah, if Jordan Peterson's like your intellectual dad, you're in an intellectual single family household.
That's so sad. Poor things.
Actually, I've noticed a phenomenon to counter this that people have done, which is to fan pair the influencers to serve as mom and dad for them. The most
like Candace Owens and Jordan Peterson?
No, the most common one is Asmongold and Keisha.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Because she always talks positively about him, and I don't know how much he knows about her. Oh, he must know because people are always shipping them.
Oh, they are?
Oh, constantly. Yeah, it's like a constant thing on her show is that they're in a fake relationship, which is really sad because why don't you guys just get in a relationship? You seem like you know.
Do they both live in Austin? Asmongold lives in Austin. But...
she's in Boston.
Well, then that's not going to work out, is it? Well, you can't rhyme through proximity. You need to be close physically.
You've moved for me before, come on, Simone. But it's an odd role to be playing as an adult when I had always conceptualized myself as somebody who's uniquely hip with young people things. Like I watch a lot of like children's entertainment even now.
Oh, that's true. Yes, that is true.
Yeah. It was so funny. I remember like I met my cousins and they go, how do you know? And this is even from the generation before this. How do you know everything about all the shows that are popular with our generation? But yeah, no, it has been weird to build this older framing online, because one of the instances where it was very funny is somebody was like, oh, this is like a boomer's take on like 4chan, on our 4chan video. And I was like, bro, do you not know how old I am? Like 4chan was becoming a thing in my generation. It was my generation that was 4chan and built the 4chan culture before it became glowy, right? Like if you are significantly younger than me, then it is unlikely that you ever even got a chance to experience real 4chan, which makes me think that whoever said this is actually around the same age I am. They just conceptualized me as an older person.
Maybe.
But anyway. Maybe. The next one, learned helplessness, loss of autonomy. Constant confinement erodes animals' sense of control, leading to learned helplessness. Behaviors like apathy, reduced exploration, and PTSD-like symptoms. And you could see this if you look at cities with like bureaucratic red tape, economic pressure, surveillance, as creating a similar sort of environment where you have this sense of loss of control and sense of helplessness. What can we learn from this? Destroy cities? I don't know. Like, that's not going to happen. But I'd actually say the benefits, if you can work from home, of living in a rural environment are something that you are likely underestimating unless you are dating. Cities are very sort of necessary to find a spouse. But once you find a spouse, unless you're a Jew, in which case, stay in a city, you seem to be adapted to that environment, I'd strongly suggest countryside living.
Yeah. I do think cities are a good place to go and build your career and build a network and find your partner. 100%. Like I wouldn't dissuade our children from visiting a city or living in one, essentially visiting
But
one.
you're going in a city with the goal of getting out of the city. You're not going
100%. It's with the full understanding that you are not going to stay there. And I think that's more normalized than many think, at least for those who plan on having children. But when I was thinking about this subject, I looked to see if researchers had found any meaningful behavioral or psychological difference between urban and rural populations.
Oh,
and
interesting.
On the surface, and this is human populations, you would think that the urban populations are specific and very explicitly and clearly better off. So when it comes to neuroticism, urban residents have lower neuroticism generally, more openness, more conscientiousness, a higher psychological well-being, similar levels of life satisfaction, and even more likely to exercise versus rural populations, which are more likely to exhibit risky behaviors. And the only area where like they seem strictly worse off on a very surface level is that urban residents have lower levels of community engagement versus higher levels among rural populations. But then as I was thinking about this in the context of you describing zoo animal environments, and this was also mentioned in some of the research, was that in some of the research, when you controlled for things like psychological well-being, when you controlled for the social services, and I think health too, that people had access to in cities at much higher rates, then the differences disappeared. So a lot of it had to do just with city people having so much more access to all of these services and conveniences that are just less there for rural people who, now, at least in the United States, are largely left behind, even if they're equally qualified for social services. It's just a lot harder to access them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's less of that feeling of a really strong social safety net. And what I think might be going on is that life is also too easy in cities, too convenient, too immediately satisfying. And this goes back to your theme of like, well, zoo animals have everything taken care of for them. You would think, well, why aren't they thriving? They should be totally fine. And in many ways, you could also argue, well, people in cities have everything taken care of for them. Everything's an arm's reach away. You can just seamless web or DoorDash like things really simply and easily. You can get everything immediately, but that doesn't serve them well. Like they may exhibit thriving on a surface level, but that thriving maybe correlates with a level of affluence that leads to sterilization. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kind of going back to that conversation we had where I was telling you about my grandmother's autobiography and just how dystopian and scary her life was as she was fleeing Paris when the Nazis were invading. And, the roads are being bombed as they're trying to drive away and the cars are running out of gas and it's just terrifying. And she has so much drive to live, to survive. And I mean, I'm sure by like most measures, her health was probably terrible. Her psychological well-being was terrible. She was probably very neurotic, all these things. Like you would think by all objective measures that she was not thriving. But in the end, this gave her a drive to do better, to take risks, to work hard, that produced in the end for her quite a bit of wealth and a family. So go figure.
Yeah,
we need it hard.
What was I going to say? What was the point you just made? I remember I wanted to respond to it. And so
people need hardship. And if things are too easy, they do badly.
I was a reporter from LA when she was talking about how you just can't afford to have kids, doing and she didn't need to live in LA, because she, travels for her job to do the stories and everything.
Huh.
And she's like, you just can't afford to have kids. And I was like, well, you mean you can't afford to have kids without sacrifices? She's like, yeah, but do you really want me to like sacrifice like my happiness and the things I want to do in order for children and my ability? And I'm like, I did all that. I'm a similar socioeconomic class of you, or I should be, given my degree and everything. And I guarantee you, I am more satisfied with my life than you are with
100%. Yeah.
You're not really making a sacrifice, not in the way that you think about it. You're making an immediate sacrifice for a much better life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And at least we personally have found that we traded off luxurious things that we thought would make us happy for, I don't know, very basic or fundamental things that we didn't value, which bring us more contentment and happiness than we could have possibly imagined. So It's also just not really well communicated how much you're going to get from the things that you are taking on and for which you are making great sacrifices.
Yeah,
it's another big
and
factor.
we live in a simulated rural environment. Like if you look out our windows, even though we're next to like a highway, basically, you wouldn't know. It looks like we live in the woods.
Yeah, it looks like the English countryside. Just so cool. But we're like literally on a highway. We're on a state route.
Anyway, love you to death. Have a great day.
Love you too, gorgeous. Coming in loud and clear, sounding sexy as always.
Oh, what people like the you being hypnotized and brainwashed cover. I told you it was a good play. I told you it was a good play for the cover.
Well, you were right, as always.
At a woman being whipped. Everybody wants to see that.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Especially women. I'm reading enough of their romance novels.
Yes, there does seem to be
my romance manga addiction these days.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, wait, that happens in, I don't know, like...
It literally, Simone, in the last 10 minutes within the romance manga I'm reading, somebody was whipped.
But the main character, or like...
No, it was a maid that the main character got whipped for disrespecting her. I like my main characters pretty evil. That's the thing. That's why I like romance manga so much. Is women are way okay with more evil. Like that in any other book is a sign that you're dealing with the villain character, right? Like that's how they establish.
Presumably, yeah. The bad guy does.
I actually don't. I've watched media before where a good character, like the protagonist, ends up having a servant whipped for disrespecting them. But
really,
yeah, here we are. That's my type of book.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like if it's a little bit logical, I could maybe kind of understand it. Vis-a-vis the romance novels that I have found my way to, they are pretty freaking disappointing in terms of...
Oh no, I've got to introduce you to. Oh yeah, you only listen on audiobook, but you say they're disappointing, but you've listened to like you'll be like, oh, I hate this series. So anyway, in book number 3, and it's like Simone,
they're free.
You can go to our romance novels episode where we go over the plots of romance novels.
No one believes me when I say that I listen to them to fall asleep. Just no one believes me.
And in the one I was reading, the maid did deserve it. She said that because the woman was born illegitimately, they were the same status to a maid, you know. And
the
that's
nerve.
The nerve, right? You know.
Goodness. Well, I mean, when you put it that way.
I'd whip a maid for that. Come on, Simone.
Yes.
I don't know if would I have the stomach to be a noble? I guess if it was like culturally normal.
In terms of like disciplining. See, that's the thing is neither you nor I would ever, like, even if we had infinite money, want staff at our house because that would be the worst, to be surrounded by people. Like, why do people opt into this? Like, I would pay money to not. Although they're like famous reclusive rich people who did tons of things, like, and apparently this is also something that was in, I don't know who's, Lex Wexner or whoever Epstein, the Victoria's Secret guy who Epstein conned into, like, he had power of attorney over all his money and stuff. In his house, he had a dining room table that went to a lower floor and then would come back up with all the food on it. This also existed in the castle of some reclusive Bavarian prince or something. So, like, I think the autistic nobles.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned this, Simone. I've mentioned this before to you. The house I grew up in Dallas was a very old, very wealthy, like aristocratic house.
Which one? The one that we ended up randomly visiting at a Stanford?
No. The one after that is much larger. I've pointed it out to you, but we weren't able to go inside.
Oh,
it was owned by
in Highland Park.
Yeah, it genuinely looks like a palace. But anyway,
yeah,
it had pathways in the walls in all of the rooms so that you never had to see the staff. So that the staff.
That's creepy though. You don't want to know that there's like a place where people can hide. You know what I mean? Like, I really appreciate that our walls are literally thin boards of wood through which you can hear everything.
Thick. Yeah. But that's the degree before I was sent off to like a prison system and never lived with my family again after 13, like the level of relatively aristocrat that they were I think is hard to overstate.
Yeah, it was a really pretty house. I bet I could find a picture of it on Google Maps.
No. The one that's there now, it was torn down and rebuilt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So the house from my childhood isn't there anymore.
Well, that's a shame.
Wow.
I thought it was like
that was the house that I lived at where my next door neighbor was Armie Hammer, the guy who became the famous actor who then had his career ruined over a vor fetish.
Was it just like BDSM?
It was the vor stuff that got it really hit.
They always get you for the vor stuff. Gotta keep your mouth shut, you know, people. Come on.
I mean, he was very aggressive about like actually doing it with people and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Yeah. It's one thing if you're like commissioning cringeworthy fan art, which now you can just use AI to do. Well,
would it work for that?
Well, I just used AI this morning to create My Little Pony fan art, and I was like, damn. I mean, you're not perfect, but not bad, guys. Because you were telling me that, well, you're only going to be able to find fan art that's decent. And compared, like when I looked at the fan art I was able to get versus the stuff that AI generated, I was actually really impressed.
I'm going to check out the My Little Pony title card you put together.
Yeah, I have it open right now. I've made a couple.
Oh, look, they're little authoritarian ponies. Look at that.
Yeah, they're really not bad. I was very surprised.
Yeah, I thought it would have problems with Nazi ponies, but it doesn't appear to.
No, you know, I think, you know, maybe it's the vibe shift suddenly, like, you know, they brought the fashion back to fascism. Yeah,
I like the Storm one is pretty good.
Oh, see, that was Grok, and that surprised me. The more like realistic figurine fan art, that was Grok, and then the illustration based ones were from Black Forest, which I just think is fantastic. I'm such a huge fan of Black Forest. So yeah, it's gonna be tough to choose. Maybe we should ask the people on Patreon for their choice
of the pony one. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta choose your pony.
So you guys are gonna flip the rock and show me a lobster?
Daddy, it's under this rock. Yeah, that one, that's this rock.
Okay, so go flip it.
Okay. I'm gonna move it.
Do you want me to do it?
Okay, yeah, flip it. But
Here,
you
give this to
might
me.
get die. You might die. Wait, I see the tail. You see the tail? And, oh, you see it? You see it? You see it? Where is it? Do you see it somewhere? Do you see the lobster yet? I think it's somewhere.
Do you think he ran away?
Yeah, I think he got away. Maybe he got dead under the rock for some reason.
Here.
Because I was moving it. I think I see signs of lobsters. I see signs of lobsters, kind of.